Welcome to the warm-up presented by Ford. Chris Miles here with Zeke and Brendan. Big fella, we know sometimes you work up a sweat a little bit on these shows, man. You got your fan with you tonight.
Yeah, it's right over there in the corner. If I need it, you know what I'm saying? I got my people to help me out.
I stole your fan. You ain't gonna be able to fan.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Come on, Zeke.
If you go over there looking for it, it's gone.
Hey man, this our last night working with Zeke. This is last night on the warm up, man.
Hey man,
we gonna miss you, man. We gonna miss you.
People on TV think like that was like a little nice soft tap. But y'all heard how hard it was.
It's some broken bones.
Yeah, he hit me real hard. That's all right.
Well, the real fans in New Orleans, they're ready for Zion Williamson. He told our teammate 3D, sitting on the sidelines for so long, the game goes by so slow for me. I just want to get out there. After missing those 44 games to start his rookie season, that wait is now over. Zion averaged 23 points on 71% shooting in 4 preseason games. Of course, that includes some ridiculous highlights. Pelicans All-Star guard Jrue Holiday had this to say about Zion's debut tonight.
I've never been through anything like that, to be completely honest. He's kind of in a class of his own when it comes to that type of thing, or maybe even somebody like Zoe or B.I., but dealing with injuries and being out and coming back first game and all that, I can only speak by experience. Be himself, honestly. Attack the paint, which I feel like we do a pretty good job of, but anytime we get into the paint, that's going to be a big thing. Get to the free throw line, which that's something he's going to do. And if not, he's getting to the rim. I don't think anybody's jumping with him. So just being him.
Just being him, Zeke, when I think of Zion and exactly who he is, he's a guy that everyone focuses on his abilities to dunk the basketball, but he's built like a defensive end, trained like a track star his entire life, and played point forward under Sam Mitchell in international play. What are you expecting from Zion? What do you think we're going to see tonight?
I'm expecting great things. I mean, and how befitting is the name Zion? I mean, you know, it's a hill on which your temple is built. And in New Orleans right now, he is the guy that's building the temple. And when you talk about Zion in terms of all the things that he can do, Brendan, we've never seen a player like this in terms of his size. You know, he's a ferocious defender. I mean, and when you watch him just take the ball from people, I mean, and slam on them in the summer league. And then he can get out and play passing lanes too. So he's quick enough, he's agile enough to get out in the passing lanes as a defender. He's a good ball handler, makes good decisions. I mean, his size, his ability, his uniqueness, again, around the basket, being able to not only just pass the ball, but be an exciting playmaker. No-look pass, bounce to Jahlil Okafor for the dunk. And then in transition, he's got the watch the spin move by the big fella. He's a lefty, spin it, then I'm going to dish it right to the corner. Hit it right in the shot pocket for a wide open shot. Next thing he can do, he's an excellent roll man. So when you talk about playing pick and roll in the NBA, right, Zion is an excellent roll man, good body position. Not only does he have good body position, but he's also an excellent finisher down the lane. And not only is he an excellent finisher, but he's an exciting finisher. He's one of those guys that everybody wants to see him dunk. Offensive rebound, he gets it. This reminds me so much of a Charles Barkley type play where he rebounds the basketball, he finishes. And then the one thing that he's added to his game now is the 3-ball, being able to sit out, look, knock it down. The most exciting thing to me, Brendan, about Zion is that, again, we've never seen a body type with this type of athleticism and skill in the NBA, this type of explosiveness. So he will bring excitement to the game. He will bring excitement to the crowd. And he will bring excitement back to the TV ratings, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Zion's definitely going to bring a lot to the game just because, like you just pointed out on those highlights, that he does a little bit of everything. He's a playmaker. He's a finisher. He's a guy that can set screens and roll to the basket. And the thing I like about his game is that it's definitely going to translate early on because his game is all about aggression, attacking that paint. He can hit jumpers, but that's not really his strength right now. But he is so good at just getting downhill and attacking the basket. And one thing I watched when he was playing at Duke, sometimes guys would back off of him because he couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
He understands how to take up space. where if you back up off of me, okay, it's kind of like what we see with the Greek Freak, where Greek Freak takes up that space, and next thing you know, he's Euroing right past you. Zion does some of those same things, but then he has the vision to make the passes, the very strong body type, and I don't think that they're going to put a lot of pressure on him because they also have a lot of good ball players on this team. When you talk about Brandon Ingram, or what the year he's having, might be the most improved player in the NBA. You talk about Drew Holiday, probably the most slept-on guard in the NBA, a veteran like J.J. Redick. They have a lot of good pieces around Zion that it's not going to have to be that like Zion has to carry this whole team. There's good players there, and a lot of those guys I just named can all shoot the basketball. You know what that means? More space in the paint for young Zion.
Brennan, you brought up an excellent point in the guys that you mentioned in the sense that they're finally gelling together. They're 11-5 in their last 16 games. That goes to the week before Christmas where they seem to figure it out. And really, they're healthy for the first time. It's not just Zion that they're getting back. I mean, Derek Favors has been playing well for them. Brandon Ingram averaging 27. Drew averaging 21. So when you look at this team together, how does Zion come in and fit so that they keep that chemistry?
I think the fact that Zion is very humble is, first of all, how he's going to be able to fit quickly. He's not going to come in and think, oh, it's all about me or I have to do this or that. He's not even that type of kid. He's not that type of person. If you really watched him at Duke, he didn't even do his press conferences without his teammates. He always had R.J. Barrett or somebody else up there with him because he didn't want it to be all about him. I think Zion's going to fit in just well because he can do so many different things. He's versatile. Versatility is the name of the game in today's NBA game if you want to excel and be a truly elite player. And Zion can go out there and rebound. He can defend. He can get out in the passing lanes. He can finish in transition, or he can start the break and make the plays in transition. So I don't worry about him fitting in at all. I think there's going to be a lot of space for him to do work inside. I think he's going to they're going to use him in a lot of ball screens early, let him roll to the basket, and just be aggressive. I cannot wait to see this man step on that basketball court tonight.
You know, when you talk about defending a player that you just described with those many skills, your first thought as a defender is, okay, well, I'm going to body him. I'm going to be a little physical with him. But then you're like, oh, that's Zion. I can't do that.
Exactly.
I mean, truly, I'm interested to see how people are going to try to play him because, as you said, you can't lay off of him. You can't body him. Like most scorers, people who have success in the league, your first thing is, okay, I'm going to body him. I'm going to get close to him. I'm going to take up space. But he's too big. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
Right. Big and solid, basically a brick wall. So there you go. Okay.
Mount Zion.
Let's head to New Orleans and welcome in NBA.com senior writer Michael C. Wright. Everything seems to be flowing just right with the Pelicans. David Griffin says there is not a minutes restriction on Zion tonight, but what should the expectations be regarding the amount of time he plays and what his role will be?
I would estimate that he would be somewhere in that 20 to 25 minute mark. And what they're going to do is they're going to put him in for like short bursts, like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and just do that throughout the course of the game. And then they'll try to figure out how he's feeling, and then they'll make the determination as to how many minutes he will ultimately end up getting. But that's what it's going to be, short bursts.
Initially, Zion's timetable to return was 6 to 8 weeks. That was back in October. So 2 weeks ago, he was back on the court, handling pregame festivities, participating in 5-on-5. So why is it taking so long for Zion to make his debut?
They did this the right way. You know, I know that the fan base, I know in the city of New Orleans, because I've been talking to these people all day, I know they're excited. I know this whole country is excited. I know the NBA community at large is excited to see this guy play. But David Griffin and the Pelicans did this the right way. What they did, this was not a normal return to play protocol, you know, just a normal recovery from an injury. What they did was they said, you know, let's break this guy down. We want to break him down and look at like his postural movements, you know, like how he lands, his hip flexibility, all that stuff, how he walks, how he runs. They wanted to work on all those mechanics because they feel like that in the future, if he can get all that stuff right, in the future, he'll be less susceptible to injury. So they did it the right way because they were taking the long view. They were looking at this from the standpoint of, hey, this is a guy we're going to have playing for the Pelicans for 10 years. And I think that was a smart way to do it. And I think that, you know, he's going to end up being a better player because of this.
A month ago, there's no way that we would mention the Pelicans and playoffs in the same sentence. But when we look at the standings right now, they're right in the thick of things. Have they begun to discuss it or even mention their postseason aspirations?
I think right now they're taking the head down and let's just go to work approach. Because look at this, man. They've won 10 out of their last 14 games. everybody on that team is playing well just about. You know, you got Drew Holiday. He's back from that elbow injury. He dropped like 36 the other night. Brandon Ingram, this guy's an all-star. You got the young guys, Jackson Hayes, even Frank Jackson. You've got a bunch of young guys playing very well, and I think that they feel like, hey, if we just kind of keep our heads down and keep working hard, playing ball, we can end up in one of those spots, that 7 or 8 seed. And guess what? If they end up making one of those spots, I don't see many teams that are going to want to see them in that first round. Even the Lakers, they could probably give them some trouble too.
Certainly an exciting game for 9:30 Eastern tonight between the Pelicans and the Spurs. Michael C. Wright, thank you for stopping by to warm up.
You got it.
Okay, Brendan, something that's been floating around, the fact that Ja Morant has essentially been running away with the Rookie of the Year.
It's his award. They might as well already just go ahead and send it to his house.
So the least amount of games any rookie has ever played and won the award is 50. Patrick Ewing did that, right? So you're saying there's no way that Zion, if he came down average 20 and 15, could win the award. Explain.
Zero chance, zero opportunity for Zion to win, be the Rookie of the Year this season. And a lot of that comes down to simply games missed. And there's for Pelicans, 38 games left? Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
So now you're talking about Zion. He's not going to play in all 38 of those games. He's not going to play in back-to-backs. They're going to have a couple of nights where they just rest and due to general soreness and want to make sure they don't put too much on his plate. So now we're talking about, let's just say 30 games. You can't be the Rookie of the Year, no matter how well you play, if you only play 30 games. And so for Zion, it's unfortunate because I think that it would have been great to see Zion and Ja Morant go at it if he had been healthy all year long. But right now, it's a landslide for Ja Morant simply because Ja Morant has been more available. What's the best ability, Zeke? Availability. Hey, there you go. So it's Ja Morant's award, and Zion really can't get it this year. He can't catch him, in my opinion.
I think you're right in terms of where Ja is at, but I want to give credit to Ja for being so spectacular and exciting in what we've been watching in terms of him, the way he's been playing it, and you know. I think Casey made the comment last night, who we were working with. He said, you know, Memphis has turned into Showtime, and LA is grit and grind.
Exactly.
You know, but Memphis and Showtime right now is because of Ja, and the fans are excited. Everybody's coming to see him play. Now that being said, we do know that Zion has the wow factor. Ja has shown us the wow factor, but you know, Zion brings a different kind of wow factor, and a wow factor that we all excited to see. And, you know, he's capable of coming out and doing the wow thing, so to speak, that makes us all want to change our mind. But I think, you know, Ja right now has been the guy, and I believe he still will be the guy at the end of the season.
They might as well go ahead, send the Rookie of the Year award to Ja Morant's house.
Yeah.
And all the other rookies, they can just send him a note that says all other applicants need not apply. It is his award.
Yeah.
Well, how about this for an award? Our poll question tonight, who is your favorite rookie? Now, who's going to win the Rookie of the Year? Who's your favorite rookie? Ja, Zion? That guy with the question mark could be Kendrick Nunn, R.J. Barrett, or whoever else you wish to write in. Just hit us up on Twitter and let us know by casting your vote who is your favorite rookie. Well, LeBron James, it was a long time ago he was a rookie, but he's still playing at a high level, looking to bounce back after a loss to the Celtics against those New York Knicks. You're watching the warm-up.
The warm-up is brought to you by Ford. Built Ford proud.
Well, LeBron James had 2 50 pieces in his career at Madison Square Garden. One of those, a 52-point triple-double 2 days after Kobe dropped 61. LeBron currently just 80 points away from catching Kobe on the all-time scoring list. He once again will play at MSG tonight against the Knicks. Let's welcome in Kyle Goon, who covers the Lakers for the Southern California News Group. Anthony Davis, though, played just 23 minutes, took just 7 shots against Boston. It was his first game in almost 2 weeks. Did the Lakers bring him back too soon?
I don't think so. I mean, a layoff like that is always going to take time. I mean, guys fall out of conditioning. I mean, it happens so quick. And I think you saw AD being a little labored. I mean, the fact of the matter is it just takes time to get that conditioning back. I think maybe in hindsight, the one thing that they didn't really do is get him a lot of on-court work, but that was just kind of a quirk of the schedule. But he was feeling good enough to go after playing a little bit on Saturday. But, I mean, it always takes time. So I think as AD kind of get some more minutes under his belt tonight. I think they want to play him around 30 minutes tonight. He'll kind of get back in his groove. It's always tough.
Well, that 22-point loss against the Celtics was the second largest margin of defeat for the Lakers this year. LeBron said, quote, "It was an old-fashioned butt whipping." Have you learned anything from the way this team has responded to losses earlier this season?
Yeah, I mean, one of their goals that they've talked about is not losing 2 games in a row, and they brought it up again on Monday night. It was obviously a really disappointing game. They didn't bring it like they wanted to bring it. They feel like they're more capable defensively than they showed. They think they're a better rebounding team than they showed. I mean, they've got beat in the hustle categories, in the effort categories, and that just hasn't happened much with the Lakers this year. They've had comebacks. They've been down double digits and come back to win close games, and I think they want to show that they don't want to lose 2 games in a row. They've only done it one other time this year, and that they can be a better team on effort.
Yeah, they lost those 4 games around Christmas. What happened with the team at that time period, and how have they bounced back so great since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that was obviously injuries. They had AD out 1 game. They had LeBron 1 game. That was, if you remember, LeBron's groin was not feeling great. He got hit in the groin, and that was slowing him down a little bit. I think they really have found sort of a grind mentality, have started out 2020 great. They hadn't, I mean, this Boston loss was their first loss of 2020, and I think they had won 9 or 10 games before that. So, I mean, I think the thing that's been surprising, especially different from last year, is that they really bring it every night. The veterans are hungry. I mean, they're not just composed. They want to win. They want to show the effort, and that's why they were so disappointed and want to bring it again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about AD struggles in his first game back, but LeBron also with just 15 points against Boston. Are you expecting him so close to Kobe, trying to move up that scoring list, playing at Madison Square Garden, coming off that loss to have some incredible performance?
Absolutely, and I think everyone who is on Twitter knows that today's the anniversary of 81, and it's perhaps a special day. It is a special day in Lakers history. So LeBron doesn't really talk about these milestones, but he's definitely mindful of them. He definitely knows how close he is to Kobe, and obviously there's a lot of chatter that some fans won't buy into LeBron until he brings the Lakers franchise a ring, like Kobe did, obviously. So I think he's mindful of that. I think he always loves to show out in Madison Square Garden. Obviously, some of his best games of his career have been here, and I think we could see something special from LeBron tonight.
Well, we all hope so, because that'll be fun and entertaining. Kyle Goon, thanks for stopping by the warm-up. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Isaiah, speaking of MSG, as a player, when you walk into that building, do you feel an extra sense of, oh, I want to give a performance for people to remember?
I think people always feel that way about, when they play in New York, whether, when it's at Madison Square Garden, because that place is so, revered in terms of great performances and great entertainers wanting to perform and do their best there. And then it's the media capital. So you always want to have your best performances there and basically let it be known that you have arrived. And if you haven't arrived, then you're here.
Madison Square Garden is one of those basically just those iconic venues where people want to play well because of the mystique of the building, for all the stars that are going to be in the front row. The Knicks can be as bad as they want to be, but if you go to Madison Square Garden, it's going to be Spike Lee and Rihanna, Beyonce, Jay-Z. Everybody's going to be there. So it always has that feel like it's a big game, even though the Knicks might not be on top right now. But Madison Square Garden, just the building, and like you said, all the great performances that have gone on there, a lot of the great players want to play great on that stage, whether we're talking about LeBron or KD or whoever. They want to put on a performance for that New York crowd.
And they have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have.
It seemed like for a while the Lakers were cruising, right? I mean, that, like you heard, first loss of this new year coming 3 weeks into the season. But when you have championship aspirations, right, and I believe that was the Lakers' second loss since 2020 started. Anyway, when you have championship aspirations, how important is it that next game after you lose to try to bounce back and give a good effort whether you win or lose?
It's important to bounce back. You never want to lose back-to-back games. But this is the time of year when, from a player's perspective, you have cobwebs in your head. I mean, it's like you don't know what city you're in, you don't know what hotel you're staying at, and the concentration level that you need to sustain for 2.5 hours every single night, this is the time of year where it starts to slip away from you. But this is the time of year where the good teams in the league, they're able to sustain concentration and they're able to carry it all the way to the All-Star break, and then they're able to bounce back and really rev it up again after the All-Star break. But right now, during this period of time, you're going to see a lot of upsets. You're going to see a lot of crazy performances because this is the time in the NBA where, just you have no idea where you're at.
When you're a championship level team, you hit it on the head that you don't want to lose 2 back-to-back. And more importantly, you want to get that mantra out there to all the players that we're building on for something that's big time. We want to make sure that every game we're trying to get a little bit better. It's like a stepping stone. So, of course, yeah, they didn't play their best game. They lost to Boston. But what we don't want to do is have another setback because we have bigger goals than the Knicks and Brooklyn, the 2 teams that the Lakers are going to play next. Our goals are to be the NBA champions. And that means we have to do the right things on a consistent basis, understand what we didn't do well in Boston, and make sure that when we go play New York at Madison Square Garden, that we learn from that. And so that's the biggest thing for me. Championship level teams say, okay, that wasn't our A game. We can't have our C game 2 nights in a row. There's going to be some nights where you have your C game, but it can't be 2 nights in a row because we have bigger aspirations than most other teams in the league.
Yeah, and again, I would not be surprised if the Lakers find themselves in a dogfight tonight because, again, this is the time of year where everybody is just kind of a little foggy upstairs in terms of sustaining and maintaining concentration.
And what's really interesting, you see how good the Lakers are on the road this season, 18-4. But they're 4-3 on the road against Eastern Conference teams. So you got to think traveling from LA, coming all the way east, and facing these teams. I mean, it'll start to wear on you. Maybe
but this again, this is the tough time of year. These are the dog days, and concentration from a player standpoint, even a coaching standpoint. I mean, everybody is just a little like, I can't wait until the break comes. And some teams leave early, and hopefully the Lakers mentally haven't left early.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, LeBron James is in the building, ready to play at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
Is he wearing kind of Knicks colors there? Is that an orange hat?
I don't know. I like that, though.
It's smooth.
Yeah, that's fly right there. He's had a couple of questionable pieces, but that's
all right,
fly.
Isaiah, what do you think about LeBron's look?
I like it. I can roll with that.
Yeah.
Certainly looks serious and ready for business. You're watching the warm-up presented by Ford. I think there's certain key words when we talk about basketball players like intangibles, motor, how hard do they play, and you notice he kept pointing, I'm a competitor. Like, we can talk about what aspects of his game are great, but Isaiah, when you see him play, he's ripping the ball from other guys. He's trying to dunk on people. There's a ferociousness to his game.
Yeah, key word competitor. I mean, he likes to compete. He will compete. And that's something that you really can't teach. I mean, that's just something that you either have that or you don't. And he seems to have that competition gene that wants to make him go out and try to be the best. I think playing under Coach K and spending a little time at Duke under Coach K, under his guidance, as we know, people from North Carolina and Duke, those players that get good coaching in that ACC from there, they come out and they want to compete. And Zion is a guy who will compete.
I like what you said when you talk about competitor having that competitiveness and wanting to go out there and always do your best, because there are some guys that they have the skill but they're low motor. And you can't teach a guy to be high motor. Like, if you don't have the skill, there's been plenty of guys that have come into this league that couldn't shoot and they learned how to shoot, or they couldn't really handle, they improved their ball handling, or they improved their free throw shooting, post moves, etc. You can improve your skills, but there haven't been a lot of guys that have come in with a low motor and they improve their motor. And so when you look at that, that is a skill within itself. The fact that I don't have to worry about that guy playing hard. I don't have to worry about trying to light a fire under this guy, because I understand that he brings his own fire. Zion Williamson wants to be great. He wants to compete. And when he goes out there, it's just something about him. Even when you talk to guys that played against him in AAU and some of the coaches, talking to Sam Mitchell, who coached Zion, who works here, he said, this kid just wants it more than some of those other kids. He said, man, like, I would see him talking before the games to his friends, and they'd be laughing and joking, and then they jump that ball up, and he would try to go tear that guy's head off. And that's the type of competitiveness that you need. That's the type of competitiveness that I know the old school bad boy Pistons would love. I can see that smile on your face, Zeke.
Yeah, that's my kind of guy.
And that's what I think is missing from the game a lot of times. Is everybody doesn't have that I just want to go at you mentality.
Yeah.
Zion's not looking out there to make any friends in between those lines. We can be friends off the court, but once we step on that court, you mine.
Yes.
He's a point forward, so would he qualify at 6'6" for House of Haywood in the future?
Yeah, he's
okay,
a power
then we
forward.
good.
No,
That's
we
it.
claiming him as a little man.
Come on, man.
I just want to have him more in the
He can be anything he wanted to be.
How about another lefty who's been balling out? Ben Simmons, without Joel Embiid the last 7 games, how about this? Scored 20 points in each of his last 5 games, the longest streak of his career.
Okay, Ben stepping his game up.
Karl Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves tipping off at 8 against the Chicago Bulls. Towns, of course, missed those 14 games earlier this season, trying to lead the Timberwolves out the lower part of the Western Conference. You saw him hit that ball out of frustration. You have to wonder with this team, like, hey, Minnesota, can they get back? Towns showing that visual frustration in warm-ups tonight, Zeke.
Well, you know he wants it, and you know he wants to get back, and he's one of these players that really believes that he's trying to, you know, reach the upper echelon of the league and wants to be perceived in that way.
And winning gets you there.
And winning gets you there, and he's definitely putting in the work to get there.
Listen, man, Towns is one of those players that we know he's dynamic, he's truly special, but losing will frustrate you. And right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves are in a frustrating place. Look at Towns right there, his body language. He just looks frustrated right now. So we'll see what works out for Minnesota. But, you know, good times are ahead for Mr. Towns because he's still playing well. The team just isn't quite flowing.
We got fantasy coming up later, and watching that, maybe Towns is one you skip out on tonight. So take us to your house, man. What we got going on in there tonight?
Well, you know, it's House of Haywood where we highlight plays made by the big men, not just dunks, but good post moves, passes, etc. Whatever you need. Zeke, this your last night. Zeke, this your last night with House of Haywood, so we're going to start it out.
I ate
Play
all the
number
food.
5. Domantas Sabonis with the spin move. The
Don't
up and
go
under.
for the head fake.
Yes, yes.
Go for the head
Look at
fake.
the spin move. Look at the footwork. Spin move,
1,
up and under.
2.
Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Sabonis with the
He's
excellent
left-handed.
post
He's
move.
left-handed.
Hey, man, he looking like his daddy. Got him. Play number 4, God, it's a staple on House of Haywood, the Joker. Look at this passing ability, Zeke.
Watch the Joker. Hit him late.
Zeke, could you
Hit
make
him
a
late.
pass like that, Zeke?
Hit him late. No, I couldn't dime like the Joker. Not like that. The Joker threw it. Oh, the Joker got game, man. I got to give it to the big Joker. Joker dropping dimes.
But he's not done. Now watch the Joker come right now, going to the basket. Will Barton finds the Joker. The quick flip pass right behind the head.
Better.
Torrey
That
Craig
was
with
better,
the. That's why we gave
Are
him
you
2
kidding
plays.
me? Are you kidding me,
Come
Brittany?
on, right behind the head. Torrey Craig knows how to finish off the play.
Go ahead, Joker.
That's what. Hey, listen, man.
That's a funny picture of the Joker up on the screen, though.
Play number 3. Daniel Tice meets Giannis at the rim.
Oh, he did.
Get that out of here.
Oh.
Get that weak shot out. Now, normally Giannis, he makes House of Haywood on a positive note, but on tonight, Giannis is the victim. Daniel Tice with the block.
Did he pin it on the glass?
What type of party is it? It's a block party.
And he got the boom box going.
But if you like that block, you're going to love this one. Terrence Ross, the dunk champion, will not be dunking tonight. JaVale McGee says, get that shot out of here. You said, look, one more time. We're going to give you one more time.
I
one
like
more
that.
look, Chris.
I like
one more
here
look.
come
No entry. Staff only.
Ooh.
But play number 1. Play number 1.
Bring number 1. Let me see it, Haywood.
We gonna get a little saucy.
Let me see what's in the House of Haywood.
We're gonna get a little saucy.
And the number 1, what's the number 1 play in the House of
Aaron
Haywood?
Gordon off the backboard to himself.
I may have to do that one.
The thing
May
is,
have
the
to do
defense
that
is
one.
there. The
Yes.
defense is there.
Hey, good defense, better offense.
Yes, sir.
He jumped over the red velvet rope. Oh, yes.
Aaron Gordon doing dunk contest dunks in the
There couldn't
half-court
be another
setting.
choice for number 1.
Yeah,
That had to
that's
take it.
the best choice right there, man. You see it, and even Chance the Rapper likes that one. Even Chance the Rapper was like, what am I watching out there? He's going to put Aaron Gordon in his next rap song. He really is.
Wearing a Dwayne Wade hat. How about that?
That's not the Dwayne Wade hat. That's the Chance the Rapper hat.
That's the number 3 I know.
Listen, man, well, you better learn about Chance the Rapper then. All right? People in Chicago know it as the Chance the Rapper hat.
Oh, I got to get that right before All-Star, huh?
Yes, you do.
That's the House of Haywood. My big men were making some plays. But how you like that Aaron Gordon play?
I like the Aaron Gordon
saucy,
play.
right?
That was saucy. He jumped over the velvet rope. He can come out of the house. He can play a little bit, and I'm going to exit from your house. But when I exit from your house, I just want you to know when I knock on the door,
you can always come back in.
Thank you.
But that's why we had to send you off. This is the last House of Haywood for you.
Me from the
so
house.
we had to make sure that Aaron Gordon sent you off right with a really fly play.
And I'm glad he wasn't dunking on the little man.
Man, we're going to miss you, Zeke, man.
Miss you too, man.
We're going to miss you, man.
Now we have to rep for the
be back to
guards
eat some of your food.
This is my guy right here, man.
We'll be back to eat up your food.
Hey, Joker was in your countdown a number of times. Is he going to get caught off guard by Russell Westbrook against the Rockets and Nuggets tonight at 8?
Burning down the house.
Congratulations to Washington Wizards All-Star guard Bradley Beal, who recently got engaged. That's floating all over social media. If you want to wish Brad a congratulations, has 2 kids, but also engaged. So congratulations to Brad. Zion Day continues right here on the warm-up. He's not the only player to consider for fantasy tonight. We bring in Tim Doyle to help us break it down. So let's start with Zion. $4,500 for the number 1 overall pick. I feel like that's the greatest value you're ever going to see for him.
Well, I think it's a massive gamble as well. And sometimes you do have to bet with your heart and not your head. I'm going to play Zion tonight just because, man, how dominant was he in the preseason? Only playing 27 minutes a game in the preseason. He was giving you 23 points a game, shooting a crazy high percentage. And like Isaiah Thomas just said, these are the dog days of the season. And he's going up against an old, crusty San Antonio Spurs team. And he's going to be like, let's just say I know some guys that have, their first baby and they can't leave the house and stuff. I don't want to name names, Chris Miles. And then their first night to get out in the streets, they're so excited. That's what Zion's going to be like on a basketball floor. I expect high energy. I expect some explosive plays. And at 4,500, why not, Chris?
Doyle, see, that's why the number 1 rule is once you have a kid, stay out of the streets, okay? That's what you have to learn first and foremost. James Harden, 1 for 17 from three-point range last time out. Man, he seems like a guy that was so consistent early in the season, now very inconsistent with his shooting. So is he a guy that you stay away from?
He still got 50 fantasy points on FanDuel in that game, but I'm really worried about the Rockets right now as a whole. They've lost 4 straight. You saw the video of Harden after the game getting shots up. Westbrook is playing tonight, and I always find it more difficult to handicap Harden when Westbrook is on the floor. I just think this is a massive gamble tonight because I think Houston's starting to realize that Westbrook, Harden, Clint Capella, all right, do we have enough other weapons? And I feel like Westbrook and Harden are putting a little bit too much pressure on themselves. I get it. The guy's been unbelievable from a fantasy perspective over the last few seasons. So if you want to play him, go out and play him. Myself, I'm going to stay away because I think Houston right now is in kind of a bad place.
LeBron James at MSG tonight, last time out, just 15 points and a huge loss against the Celtics. He's at 11-5. That seems like a low number for LeBron James.
Yeah, is he going to play in the fourth quarter? That's always the fear when you go up against the Knicks, right? Because this is a game that could be a 30-point game. He's had some memorable performances there. But I think a bigger concern for this individual game is getting a guy like Anthony Davis going. He only played 23 minutes, only took 7 shots. LeBron has proven his point. We know how good you are, buddy. If he really wants to go out and get 45 or 50, I think he can go out and get 45 and 50, especially against this matchup against the Knicks. So it's always hard to get inside of a guy's head who's in his 17th season. And if you add in his playoff years, this is his 20th full season in the NBA right now, leaving the NBA in assists. But little known fact, Chris Miles, I myself suited up at Madison Square Garden. That's right. I played at St. John's. Many times I sat on the bench there next to an Anthony Glover or Kyle Cuff. And now my kids ask me, what type of fantasy player was I? And I tell them this, Chris, I was a 30, 30 guy. They go, what does that mean? I say, when we were up by 30 or down by 30, I got in for like 30 seconds. So those are my stats when I played at the Garden. But I get if you want to play LeBron, I would not have played myself when I was at St. John's.
Can we pull that back up? Is that possible? Because I have to point something out in that picture. Because one, I don't know if that's really you. It seems like it might be Photoshopped. Two, I noticed Anthony Glover was also my high school teammate, and I imagine that you didn't want to make the wrong move next to that guy because Glover was known for if you're losing the game, that's not the kind of guy you want to face.
I knew this. You see, I had the warm-up on, but I always sat close to the coaches because I was like, maybe they'll put me in if I just sit closer to them.
I don't think that worked well for you. I don't think that worked well. Didn't work well for me either. Okay, Ben Simmons, 84 fantasy points on FanDuel. Joel Embiid still out. Ben Simmons averaging 24 while Embiid has been out. Seems like a guy worth the money.
No doubt. And I think really a revenge factor because last year I dove inside of the Eastern Conference semifinals, and frankly, he did not play well against the Raptors. Chris, he averaged 11 points in last year's Eastern Conference semifinals, 7 rebounds and 5 assists. And he's been going nuts his last 5 games, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Now, obviously, no Embiid out there. No Jimmy Butler, who was out there, no J.J. Redick. Those guys took a lot of shots last year in the playoffs, but I think this is a game where Ben's really rolling from a confidence standpoint. 5 straight games that he has 20-plus points or more. Obviously, still not shooting the 3, but playing like this is his team. And now that there's room to move on the floor, I think Simmons is must-play tonight.
All right, let's see your Doyle's Daily starting lineup. Let's get that revealed.
Well, Ben was crazy against the Nets. Let's hope he keeps it up against the Raptors. Booker, he's averaging almost 40 over his last 4 games. I love Brandon Ingram. I think that was the best thing that happened to the Pelicans. Zion getting hurt. Ingram has emerged as a go-to scorer. Barton's an excellent rebounder. His usage is going to be up because of all those injuries. Hopefully Marcus Smart hits 11 threes again tonight. I think Turner's a basement bargain deal. Kendrick Nunn always seems to get 20 rebounds, assists, not so much, but he's a bucket getter. Marketed, and there's Zion Williamson. So the curious thing is, I wonder if they shut him down, Zion, as the season wears on. The Washington Nationals did that to Steven Strasburg in 2012, and they took a lot of heat then. 7 years later, they won a World Series, and Strasburg was the MVP. So it's going to be really interesting what David Griffin and the Pelicans do.
7 years is a long time. I don't know if one really worked out for the other.
DC.
Which is a great title for them to get, the first in the franchise history. So I get what you're doing. New Orleans Pelicans trying to win a championship as well. Doyle, thanks for stopping by. I noticed you didn't have a guy that costs more than 10 grand. That's the way to appropriate your funds properly. And Kemba Walker knows how to distribute well for the Boston Celtics facing the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant. Talk about a point guard battle to watch. Ooh, that's a good one. Well, the NBA is ready for Zion Williamson to take the court against the San Antonio Spurs. After sitting out the first 44 games of his career, the #1 pick in the draft is ready for his debut. The basketball community is mourning the loss of a Hall of Fame head coach. Morgan Wooten, the first coach on any level to win 1,200 career games and a 2000 inductee into the Naismith Hall of Fame, has passed away at 88 years old. Wooten coached both basketball and football at DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. His tenure began in 1956 until his retirement in 2002. In that span, Wooten won 5 national championships and 22 Washington, D.C. titles. Morgan Wooten had 5 children and 15 grandchildren. His youngest son, Joe Wooten, follows his lead and is a successful basketball coach at Bishop O'Connell High School in Arlington, Virginia.
Proud.
Okay, our poll results are in. Thanks to everyone that voted, and it looks like we have a runaway favorite rookie so far this season, Ja Morant.
Well, it's not surprising because Ja's been the one who's playing, and Zion has been sitting. It'd be interesting to see how this poll looks 3 weeks from now after we see Zion, or even just after tonight's game.
Are you surprised that 20% of people voted for Zion and not the other guys who could be R.J. Barrett, Kendrick Nunn, and guys who are playing well?
No, because Zion, again, he brings that wow factor and, you know, the credibility that he's brought from college into the NBA, I think people are waiting to see.
Yeah, it's certainly an anticipated debut for Zion Williamson tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. That game, again, tips off at 9:30. The Clippers playing tonight without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Still waiting word on Patrick Beverly, who was initially said to be out but is questionable. And then Trae Young not playing for the Atlanta Hawks. So that guy might be a fantasy option. I know we had Doyle on, but at this point, you got to look at Lou Will.
Yeah, Lou is always a fantasy option. And in a game like tonight, you know, this is a game where, you know, he's capable of getting 35, 40 points.
That's certainly someone you're going to want to pay attention to on Crunch Time. That's why Brendan's no longer here, because he leaves. This is your last show with us, and he leaves us during the show to go hang out with Jared and get crunchy.
But, you know, that's Brendan. That's our man. You know, we miss him every time we leave, and I'm going to definitely miss working with you guys. I mean, I've had a good time. We've had a good run, especially in the House of Haywood.
We know you're the guy with handles. That show could basically be named after you. My prediction on Zion tonight, according to Kendrick Perkins, I think he'll have a solid performance with a cool 12 points, 8 to 10 rebounds, and about 25 minutes of action.
And this is what I'm going to say about Kendrick Perkins. Hey, Kendrick, you right. We ain't going to argue with you, dog. Well, whatever Kendrick say, I'm good with it.
Man, I think if Zion plays 25 minutes, I think he's going to put up bigger stats than that.
I just think, you know, he'll be great. And one thing we know for sure, he'll be exciting, and we're going to have that one play that everybody's going to want to watch.
Well, it'll be exciting to see Zion Williamson. It's always exciting having Zeke on the show. For Brendan Haywood, I'm Chris Miles. Thanks for watching the warm-up. Stick around, though. Crunch Time's on deck.
Listen to Kendrick Perkins.